and welcome to this video about corruption risks in public procurement. It is important to study public procurement because government contracting is critical to development. Public procurement accounts for on average 29% of government spending in OECD countries. But this can be as high as 50% of government spending in developing countries. In addition, a large share of international aid is allocated through government procurement systems. Procurement is also highly prone to corruption. We know this because, as the graph shows, of all bribery cases that come to light, a very large share relate to the awarding of government contracts. The problem is that corruption happens behind closed doors, making it difficult to detect or measure. It's also difficult to distinguish corruption from inefficiency and incompetence. We use a new method to analyze big data at the level of tenders and contracts for evidence of a series of red flags. Public procurement involves a relationship between a contracting body and a supplier. Corruption occurs when the process is manipulated to avoid open competition and steer a contract towards a particular bidder who is favoured because of some particularistic tie, political connections, bribes, or kickbacks. Using our method, we identify red flags that signal a risk of corruption. These can relate to the tendering process, to the types of bidders who win the contracts, to the contracting body, or to political connections between buyers and suppliers. This wasn't possible 5 or 10 years ago. These methods have become possible because of two recent developments: improved transparency of government data and enhanced computing capacity, making it possible to automate the collection and analysis of large datasets. Our research project has allowed us to build a database of more than 500,000 public procurement contracts, funded by 3 major donors, so as to analyze patterns of red flags across countries, contractors, and suppliers, and over time. With good enough data, this method allows for much more sensitive policy responses. But it can only achieve its potential if governments collect and publish high-quality data, and a wide group of users are empowered to analyze these data. For our database of World Bank contracts, we have 8 red flags that might indicate corruption risk. For example, if there is only one bidder for a contract, this might mean that companies thought the process was rigged and did not bother to bid, or that the tender was narrowly defined so only one company had a chance of winning. Our method allows us to see how the single bidding red flag is distributed around the world for these contracts. As part of our project, we partnered with the African Data Initiative, which is highly collaborative and aims to transform how people use and understand data, both within Africa and beyond. ADI's first activity has been the development of R-Instat, a free statistics software. The collaboration led to the development of a procurement menu in R-Instat to empower users to analyze public procurement data themselves. The menu makes it easy to identify red flags, create maps, and make visualizations. R-Instat comes embedded with the dataset of World Bank-funded public procurement tenders for over 180,000 contracts from 170 countries. Users can also import their own procurement data. Red flag indicators have been predefined based on our research into corruption risks. The procurement menu can be used, among other things, to create country-level indices based on the data and construct corruption risk indicators. Simple-to-use dialogues enable users to easily produce visualizations, including graphs, tables, and heat maps showing country-level values. Additional options are available to allow users to customize their analyses for their specific contexts. Here we can see that across Africa, a high proportion of contracts, shown by the darker red shading, do not have an open procurement process, although in Egypt and parts of East Africa, a majority of tenders are open. Workshops held in Tanzania and Italy introduce users to R-Instat as a tool for investigating large public procurement data. The workshops, led by both statisticians and procurement experts, brought together people who understand how to analyze data and people who understand how procurement systems can be corrupted. In Tanzania, the focus was on answering participants' own questions, using the World Bank data and R-Instat's descriptive statistics tools. Even the simplest analyses revealed interesting patterns in the data. This graph highlights that the finance sector has less competitors for its contracts, with over half of them being single bidder. R-Instat's facilities for aggregating over countries allowed users to propose provocative questions and comparisons. Analysis within one country revealed that more than 20% of the country's World Bank contracts were awarded to a single company. These results, plus others, were produced by participants using R-Instat within just a one-day workshop. The results do not necessarily indicate corruption, but they allow users to identify patterns that warrant further exploration. For open data to be effective in the fight against corruption, there is also a need for tools to empower actors to interrogate data and uncover valuable information.